The Avocado Gael, as far as Sportsline on Scariff Bay Community Radio. Good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome once again to Sportsline show here on Scariff Bay Community Radio on 88.3 and 92.7 FM and on the TuneIn app. And on today's show, I'm joined as always by co-presenter Pat McNamara. And in today's show, we're going to be talking football, camogie and hurling. And we're going to be joined by a man no better than well-known local journalist here in the county of Clare, Derek Dormer, to give his views. And now we're delighted to be joined on the line by well-known local journalist, a man who's travelled the county and the country extensively on GA and all sports. Man, very good to us here on Scariff Bay Community Radio. It's the dulcet tones of Mr. Derek Dormer from all the way from Clarecastle. Derek, you're welcome once again to Scariff Bay Community Radio.
It's a pleasure to join probably the two most knowledgeable men on radio.
I tell you, you're pushing
keep going.
You're pushing it, Derek. You're pushing it.
Keep going.
No, good to have you again, Derek. I hope all is well.
Oh, all is good now in sunny Clare, you know.
Yes, exactly. And the middle of championship season. Derek, first of all, we're going to start with football, right? And there's a lot of you see in the Premiership of managerial go rounds, but in this year gone by, it is nearly in the football championship, the football managerial merry-go-round, and I see Jim McGuinness picked as back in as Donegal manager during the week, Jimmy Lee about to be appointed to the Limerick manager. However, there's one very, very serious appointment to be made in Clare football, and that's the appointment of a manager following the departure after 10 years of a great tenure of Colm Collins, Derek. Yeah,
some act to follow now, Leo, in fairness. I mean, it's a tough, and whoever gets it, it'll be a tough job because, you know, Owen Cleary announced he's taking a year out as well, and I know Jamie Malone is going travelling, and, you know, there'll be a complete transition of players. So it's a big ask, whoever does take it, whoever does get it. For me, now, personally, I can only speak for myself. I think there's only the one man for it, for me, to be Paul Medden of Éire. I just feel that, you know, I feel that they're county obviously they're back-to-back champions. I feel they will win 3 in a row. I think they have a professional inter-county setup basically in Éire. You know, he's used to dealing with inter-county players. He's a manager, you know, by trade, like in hotel management. He's had huge success. And the thing is with Éire, like, you know, they 3 or 4 years in a row where they were building and getting to quarterfinals and being beaten, and there was no panic with Éire. They stuck with Paul Medden, and look, they're on the cusp of winning 3 in a row. So this would be his 6th or 7th, maybe 7th year in charge of Éire. So I think the Clare job needs time. I think we were fine under 20 side from last year, you know, to bleed in those players basically. I think that it should be a Clare man for me rather than an outsider, because it means more, and that's no disrespect to anyone coming, you know, who might come in from outside the county, but you can't beat a bit of passion for your own, in my opinion. So he'd be my choice, but whoever gets it, Leo, whoever does take the job, I mean, Colm Collins did wondrous stuff and gave his life to Clare football, both club and county. But, you know, the 10 years he gave to Clare were tremendous. So it will be a hard act to follow. But whoever does get the job, I wish him success. For me, I hope it's Paul Medden.
Yeah, and I suppose, Derek, looking at the past, the outside manager doesn't seem to, in football anyway, didn't seem to work here in Clare. And I don't know what it was, they just didn't. Maybe it was another gig along the way. But I take your point totally. It has to be a local, someone with passion, the same passion as Colm Collins had for Clare football. And there's no doubt that the man you've mentioned there, the name you've given, you know, he has trawled the county with Éire, and hopefully he'll be trawling further afield, maybe with Éire this year. But he knows every player in the place. Collins had a Bible on all the players. This man would be probably very, very much cut from the same cloth.
Absolutely, and Leo, attitude reflects leadership. You go out in the field, you know, the players that perform out in the field, they reflect the manager and the manager's beliefs, his mentality, his desire, his motivational skills, his organisational skills. You know, obviously when players cross the white line, the performance is down to them. But the way they go about their business, that reflects on the manager. So that's for me why it has to be manage your own, because you can't, no matter, like, with the greatest respect, you know, to the greatest managers of all time, if Brian Cody was the Clare hurling manager, for example, it still wouldn't mean as much to Brian Cody if Clare walked the Hogan, you know, the steps of the Hogan stand, compared to what it would mean to Leo Dial, for example, or to any man that is a Clare person. You can't beat passion, you can't beat pride in your own. And for me, I just always prefer when the manager of the county team is a county man.
Here. And Eric, despite the fact, I suppose, that there's really top class players possibly not available for the coming year, the other thing is we've been back down to Division 3, and that really is very achievable to come up again if Hall Madden or whoever gets the job. It's something that all the younger players coming into the panel can aim for. No, we think we are a bit better than the Division 3 team, so I suppose that's a positive too, that there's something that's winnable for them.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, Pat. And I think that's a credit to Colin Collins for stepping down when he did. Because it would have been easy enough for him to say, well, do you know what, now I'll stay next year, we'll probably win Division 3, I'll keep all the players, I'll get one more year out of them. But Colin Collins saw the bigger picture.
Yeah.
He saw, for the betterment of Clare football, let the new manager settle in. Obviously, it's no guaranteed success. You'll win Division 3,
correct,
but you'll be one of the top sides in it. You're not going straight in against your, away trips to Meath, and you're not facing into Cork and so on and so forth. And Dublin like we had this year. So, you'll have more chance to blood in new players, let them experience what it's like in the National League to play inter-county football. And I think Colin Collins deserves huge credit for that, for the chance to give the new manager a settling in period. And maybe that's why the fact that we are in Division 3, there has been no announcement. There is still seems to be no hurry on announcing the new manager. So, they're probably confident enough that they can hit the ground running come January, with the McGrath Cup and then into the National League, obviously. So with that in mind, again, I'd be leaning towards a Clare man, because if you were appointing an outside manager, surely you'd want him in place by now that he's at the club games. He's watched their Rugby Milltown or Clondigad v Doonbeg or whoever it may be, Ennis Diamond and Lissy Casey, that he's gone to these matches. Whereas a footballing man in the county has probably gone to many, whether he's going to be announced as the Clare manager or not. If you have passion for your sport, you're going to attend these games and, you'll know all the players. And that's why, for me, again, it has to be a Clare man, because a Clare man will know who's playing corner forward and who's playing well and so on and so forth, and who might be able to do a job corner back. And, I'm sure there's players out there in the county, as in every other county, that have gone unnoticed or gone under the radar, and maybe a new fresh set of eyes might see something in a fella, go, do you know what, Jesus, he'd make a great wing back, I could turn him into this sort of player. And that's the sort of thinking we need. I've often said people get pigeonholed into saying, sure, he's a forward, or but sure, look at John Conlon, he's lighting up the club championship in hurling playing centre forward, and sure, he should have got it. To me, he should have been on the team of the year in the Sunday game as centre back for intercounty. So, top players can adjust to wherever they're asked to do, and I think if a Clare man is asking them to do it, it makes it easier to perform.
Derek, with that, I think, and the fact that there has been no announcement, it seems like that maybe the county board, and I know there's a committee there with David Tuberty and Ger Keane, that maybe their decision is made already, and logically maybe pointing in the one direction, that just let this man concentrate on his club championship first of all, and then make his decision to the club to come over, because he will be leaving. If he does decide to, the same man does decide to take the job, he will be leaving his beloved Éire behind.
Yeah, or maybe he does what Colin Collins did and continues in the role. It's a lot of work, but Colin managed it. I don't know, I just hope, Leo, that for me, I think it will be a county man because of the delay. As I said, if it was to be an outside manager, you'd imagine we'd have him in place by now. Exactly. If it's an inside manager, that's involved in the club championship right now, be it whoever it may be, Paul Madden, Aidan Maloney, there's loads of candidates out there, whoever, they're involved in championship right now, so they're seeing the players that they're probably going to be calling on anyway. So maybe that's the reason that there might be an announcement till after Jack Daly is lifted by, I hate saying it, but by whoever their role captain on the day is.
It looks very much like it at the moment anyway.
I was going through the team. Should have inter-county players in every line of the field. They probably have 14 starting inter-county players almost, or part of an inter-county setup. They're as professional as you'll get at the club level. And hats off to them, look. that's what other clubs have to aim for at the moment.
As you said, today or yesterday, that happened to development over a number of years. And look, at whoever takes it, we wish them the very best of luck. Derek, the camogie season is up and running. Okay, last weekend was a washout or whatever. Matches called off very late on Friday evening, despite the weather warm.
Yeah, I didn't like that decision, Leo. I never like decisions to be left late like that. Maybe if a referee pulls a game for safety reasons, I can understand that. But, make a decision early in the day, or let players know, because you could have players travelling from different counties, or getting off work early and all this sort of stuff. And just for spectators and family members, I just never like leaving it late unless it's a referee's decision based on player welfare. So I don't know the state of all the pitches, but I'm sure Tulla could have held the Scariff game last weekend. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm sure it could have,
And Derek, considering that there was a weather warning early on, probably given Thursday night, which was coming Friday, and I know, look, these warnings can prove unfruitful. We've had some before where the same trouble hasn't happened. But do you think it should be a blanket decision made early by the relevant authorities, or should you leave it down to the behest at the referee, which is going to be very close to match time?
I would always prefer a blanket decision early, just for the simple reasons of, I don't know the ins and outs with families and people working, but, your own daughter even, Leo, I mean, I'm sure she's commitments to be, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but, she's commitments and she wants to turn up and play for Scariff. I know she might be injured at the moment, but you know what I'm trying to say here. There's no point in her planning her Friday evening and then, rushing to get back from wherever at 5 o'clock to go represent her club, and it's pulled at 6:30. That day should be well gone. Pull it that the night before, or don't pull it at all and leave it to the referee's discretion. That would be me. I would never be deciding at 6 o'clock. We'll have a blanket call off now when players and everyone else is after making arrangements. Well, if the pitch is unplayable, let the referee decide that.
Yeah, definitely. I know that Fecal Kilnina and Kilmaley both wanted to go ahead. Father McPartner were dying to go ahead, a player told me, and I was in Tulla, and a minute to 7, Andy McMahon arrived and waved his hands to say there was no game, and the two sets of players had their own bit of a backs and forwards, we'll say.
I heard training sessions went on.
That's right. And pitch was A1, so and the rain lightened, so the players really wanted to play, having made the sacrifice and the effort to be there. If they had known it 4:30, even 5 o'clock, they could have made different plans and stayed working or whatever, or not be racing. So I agree with what you're saying. It should be called off early.
If it's good enough to go out and train, it's good enough to go play.
There's no doubt about that. And come here, Derek, as we're on the sport of camogie, and the championship is now, obviously it should have been 2 rounds. We've 1 round in. What's your thoughts on the camogie championship so far? The standard you've seen?
You'll be drinking out of the cup again in a couple of months, Leo.
Good man, Derek.
Look, last year, I honestly felt that Scariff, with Alfie, no, it's not a slight on Alfie, just with the late appointment, the bit of upheaval, I just felt last year that they mightn't have been, up, we'll say, to 100% ready to go, and I felt that Truach would have been on a mission last year, and I tipped Truach to win that county championship last year, and I got it wrong. Scariff came with a late force, but in my defence, Scariff were extremely lucky. Scariff and Gunlow were extremely lucky in the county semi-final. Let's be honest about it. They were put to the pin of the collar by Aina Kilnamona and were very lucky to stay in the championship. Fully deserving winners on county final day, but very lucky in the county semi-final. I think this year there's nothing to stop them, in my opinion. I think that Alfie's second year in charge, there's a conveyor belt of talent down there. There's All-Ireland junior medal winners, there's inter-county senior players, there's players that represented Clare before, there's a wealth of experience, there's a wealth of youth. There's a wealth of
county
youth.
minor A medals as well coming up.
Back-to-back minor titles. So, look, it's no coincidence that 2 Munster clubs won, and look, they are the queens of the county.
And Aoife Power back to full tilt as well. Aoife Power is a tremendous bonus to have her fully fit and flying.
Yeah, probably the best, one of the best forwards, if not the best finishing forward in the county. So look, all the eggs are inside in Scariff Gunlow's basket. It's up to everyone else to try and, similar to Rogue in the football, it's up to everyone else to catch up to them.
I always make out the point every year. I've always said it here continuously. Whoever gets the better of Aina Kilmona, and you have it's not too easy to get the better of Aina Kilmona, and I think they could be on a mission this year. They feel maybe unfinished business, and they've all their players are nearly back they have been of yesteryear. So I'm looking forward to a good campaign from Aina Kilmona as well, Derek.
It could be the county final, Leo. I know they're going to meet in the group, but the fact that they're in the same group means they'll avoid each other in the semi-final. So it could be a dress rehearsal for the county final, and that's not being disrespectful to True Clonlara, but I just think, without Emer Kelly and Becky Foley and Michelle Powell, I don't know the ins and outs whether they'll have them back or not, but cruciate injuries and ACLs, and they've had a tough time. Very hard to compete against the Scariff Gunlow if you're not at full strength. Aina Kilmona, to me, probably the second best team at the moment, are ready to step up, take them on. And look, we know what happened in last year's county semi-final, but I do think Scariff were undercooked last year. That's the word I was looking for. They weren't at full pitch until county final day because they were late starting in the year, and there was the bit of upheaval with the management change and all that. There's none of that this year. They have two minor A's in a row. They have a few All-Ireland junior medals in the back pocket. Look, I said that to Alfie Rogers in an interview with him. I think myself personally that Scariff Gunlow are destined for Croke Park. Whether it's this year or next year, I just think they're destined for All-Ireland Club final day. And it would make me... you'd have to even put me up for the week, Leo, because I'd have to move out to East Clare for it.
He'll put you up in the...
I have a lovely shed out the West Bray. I have a lovely shed out the back. You'll fit in perfect.
Thanks, Leo. Thanks.
Book the West Bray in Leo's name, no problem.
I tell you, Derek, there's also another club out here, East Clare, who I think are going to have a big say, and that's Fecal Killanena. They're a team in building again, new management there this year as well, and there seems to be a new great buzz up there as well. When the buzz is up there, they're very, very hard to beat.
They have firepower anyway, Leo. That's for sure now. The two Conways and Lorna Mack, as we know how good Lorna is, they have firepower. Do they have the 15? Do they have the 20 to win a county title? I'm not sure. The big match for them will be against Kilmaley. They'll need to beat one of them, Truach or Kilmaley, to get to the semi-final. They're senior B winners now, like last year. They were up from the intermediate ranks for a couple of years. They're building. They're fine forwards. They have a great forward unit, the two Conways there and Lorna Mack. They have strong players in every line. I just don't know, will they have the 20? Will they have an impact from the bench that could be pivotal to decide a county title? But they are a coming force, and I wouldn't underestimate them. I wouldn't like to be playing them, correct, but I just think that they might need another year or two development just to have, what Scariff can produce off the bench, Leo. At the end of the day, it's 15 to 20 that win you the county title, not just 1 to 15. It's 15 to 20, and you need to be able to bring a player that's going to make an impact, not just fresh legs. You need to be able to bring a player off the bench that will make an impact, and I think that's where Scariff are going to low, and that's why they're the strongest team in my eyes. I just think that they have enough of an impact off the bench to trouble anyone.
Good man, and we'll see how that plays itself out throughout the championship. Derek, we're turned to hurling now, and we're really into the middle ground of this championship, and where games are really turning into championship encounters, where there's do or die games. And this weekend, what's your overall thought, first of all, Derek, on the standard of the hurling in the championship?
Honestly, Leo, I think we have, and again, I don't want to sound too critical, but I think we have far too many senior teams. I think there's too many mismatches. I look at the Limerick model where they have 12 senior teams, and even in that situation, and they're 5 out of the last 6 All-Irelands won, 4 in a row, there's still a couple of mismatches there, and they have 12 senior teams. I just think that, I know clubs will vote against it, but I think we'd have a stronger intermediate championship if we'd far less senior teams than we have. There's too many mismatches for my liking in the early rounds. Now, the quality comes to the fore from here on in. This weekend, as you said, is do or die. And from the quarterfinals on, the Clare Championship is as good as any in the country. Have no doubt about that. I just think the early rounds, there's a couple of silly games that you just foregone conclusions, and there shouldn't. At club senior level, to me, there should never be a foregone conclusion.
No, it shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, Team A should be able to take on Team B no matter what. I just feel that, and I'm not going to name clubs. But there's a few that are just. And
I suppose, Jerry, that's filtering down to intermediate as well, where there has been some
worse there. Actually.
It is worse there. There has been some awful hammers, and you're 100% right. There needs to be a restructuring of some. And I know there's 2 senior teams coming down to intermediate again on this year, but
but there's one coming up, Leo, and that just brings us to 16.
Yes,
and to me that's 4 too many.
Yeah,
and I know clubs wouldn't like to hear it. Everyone wants to play senior, but if those 4, whoever they may be, were down intermediate, and then those bottom 4 sides intermediate were down to junior A, wouldn't it make for 3 better championships?
Correct and right. I totally take your point on that. And come here, we're starting off with the games this weekend, the senior games, and of course last night you had the games in the O'Callaghan's Mills are playing 6 Mile Bridge. To all intents and purposes, we can talk about it now. The Bridge, the Mills, who are the current Clare Cup champions, but the championship hasn't gone too well for them.
Yeah, but very, very unlucky on the opening day against Clonlara. You were down at that game. We were both at it. They were very unlucky, and that was a battle royale. In fairness, both teams gave everything out in the field, and to me, it was the game in the opening weekend. It was helter skelter. There was physicality. There was fine scores. There was off the ball stuff. There was touchline.
You'd like that, all right. You'd like that being all right.
Yeah, everything that. Yeah, but sport is entertainment at the end of the day. That's what it is, and people, so long as everyone can go to work the next morning, a bit of entertainment is good for the soul. That is my opinion, anyway. And in fairness to Clonlara, they delivered that in spades. They delivered it in spades. Now. The Mills and Crusheen, Crusheen are a battle-hardened club. Let's be honest, they have warriors back in Crusheen, and it didn't work out for the Mills that day. But what better side for the Mills than the Bridge jersey to, now they will need the other result to go their way, but there are permutations there where, if the Mills did win and Crusheen beat Clonlara, well then the Bridge are in the relegation series, and who would have imagined that? So there is possibilities. I do feel the Bridge will win. I do feel they get to a quarter final, but it's on over the road for me. I'm looking forward to it. I will be at it, and I'm sure the Mills will give everything. But the Bridge were very un-Bridge-like against Clonlara in the park. They really were. Seemed out of sorts. So it's hard to know how well the Bridge are going. If you asked me 3 weeks ago, and I know this is going to sound strange, Leo, but I couldn't pick a winner of the county title. So therefore I would have said any year I can't pick the winner, the Bridge end up winning it.
Yes.
Because they're the most consistent club.
Yeah. The only thing, Derek, is that I was talking to a few there lately, and even the Bridge man one stage was saying there's a good bit of lack of pace, especially in their defence, and if they're going to beat faster teams coming up now that what was good enough 3 or 4 years ago to win championships, they haven't got those lads have a lot of mileage up, and they're not the fastest in the world back in the backs, and that surely come against you at some stage.
But Pat, the pace will be dropping on that championship.
That's a fair point now, lads, because, and again, I'll take it from a, how will I say it now, Cracklow and Kildysart in the park last Saturday in the football.
Yeah.
To me, Cracklow are, and I hate saying this, but Cracklow can't win a county championship with the miles on the clock because the legs are gone for the park.
Yeah.
And they won their opening round football match, but it wasn't in the park.
Yeah.
The Bridge won their opening round hurling match, but it wasn't in the park. So I think you have a valid point there, Pat, about the pace. That you need legs to win in Cusack Park.
Yeah.
And as we know, once you get to county quarterfinals, semi-finals and finals, where is it going to be on? They're all in the park. You need legs to win a championship because you need legs to win in the county grounds. I think Kildysart showed Cracklow, showed the mileage on the clock up in the park. And Clonlara, Diarmuid Stritch burnt a few of the Bridge players in the park. Again, Clare Minor last year, youth, pace, and maybe the Bridge are lacking in that department. So that's a valid point. Bridge and the Mills run in Clarecastle, so maybe the Bridge get the job done, but you could be right, they mightn't have the legs to win the county championship.
The other one is hard to call though, Derek. Crusheen and Clonlara. That's going to be a difficult one now. Is there a difference about Clonlara this year? I know we see them the day against the Mills. You know, they seem to be more united group. You know, now often they play their best hurling in the group stages and then flash out to deceive when it comes later on. Crusheen are a team who I have good time for. You know, I just think they were a very unlucky team not to make the playoffs last year. You know, they had a couple of good wins and they lost out in scoring difference. But, you know, okay, they lost to the Bridge in the first round. They had a good win, a comfortable win over the Mills the last day. This is going to be, I think, one of the games of the weekend, Crusheen and Clonlara, Derek.
Yeah, look, Clonlara are an enigma. They really, really are, and they have been for a long time. But this is a new Clonlara side. So I'm going to have to disband with the old, which to me would have been, I'd have said, Clonlara have good hurlers, they'll get to knockout stages and they'll fold. You know, and that's the way it has been for the last few years, or they'll end up in the Senior B. And, you know, but this seems to be a new look side, and they seem to have a unity about them and a purpose. So, you know, if that continues, they'll be hard to stop because, let's be honest about it, you know, when you have John Conlon hurling, like, I mean, the man's a legend. He's a warrior, what he's done for club and county, but he's a remarkable hurler. He can play anywhere in the field, and like good hurlers can, and adapt. And, you know, they've others, Ian Galvin and Colm Galvin came back the last day and started it, had an opening, scintillating 20 minutes. The kind of legs went through him then, but it was taken off, you know, but he's coming back into fitness. They see him on a mission, and if they're united and, you know, stick together like that, they'll be hard to stop. Crusheen, in fairness, you have to give credit to them as a club, Leo. They always get the best out of themselves. They never let themselves down. They still have warriors there, like the Keane Dillon and that. And, you know, they have older heads there. I think, you know, like, they had a 40-year-old playing in the opening rounds. Like, in fairness, like, it's incredible stuff. They'll all buy into the club ethos, and they represent, you know, Crusheen and the blood and bandages jersey, and, you know, they have pride in themselves. So, you know, you can never, ever discount them. I just think in the park, Clonlara seem to have the legs. And I'll go back to Pat's point. You need legs to win in the park. So I think Clonlara will get the job done.
The next one in the senior championship coming up, Derek, is Cratloe and Clooney Quinn, another nearly a winner-take-all. And Clooney Quinn, minus the services of Callum Hassett, Ryan Taylor, and probably Peter Duggan, unless his appeal for that red card comes through. And again, you're talking about Cratloe, again, it is much the same lads playing the hurling and the football. And this is on in 6 Mile Bridge. And how would you see this one turning out, Derek?
I was sweet on Clooney Quinn at the start of the championship. The loss of Ryan Taylor kind of, you know, it made me rethink it. And then now Callum Hassett and potentially Peter Duggan. Although I've heard several, I wasn't at that match, so I can't speak for myself, but I've heard several people tell me that the red card should be rescinded.
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't see it.
That's more or less the common view out there, to be fair.
Yeah, so
no, I make that comment without being there, but speaking to people, you know, that's the common theme.
Yeah, anyone I spoke to said, you know, it should be rescinded like that. You know, he was slapping a fella down on the helmet more so than there was no real striking involved as such. And, you know, 2 yellows would have sufficed. Now, that's what I'm hearing. But, look, the appeal system will no doubt do its job. But hopefully it's rescinded. And that's nothing against Cratloe. But, you know, you want to see the best hurlers playing too. Like, so just for a spectator's point of view, if it was on in the park, I think Clooney Quinn win. The fact that it's below the bridge, you know, the market took care of Clooney Quinn down there. Cratloe liked the bridge. I don't know. It's very hard to call. I think it's going to sound strange, Leo. I think Cratloe would go no further than a quarter final in the championship. But Clooney Quinn could upset someone. So, you know, if Clooney Quinn can get over the line, they could, you know, upset someone in a quarter final. If Cratloe get over the line, I don't think they'll win a quarter final.
And Derek,
again, they'll be in the park and they'll be on the 2 codes, and, you know, they have a huge game against Ennis Diamond to stay in the football championship. So they have 2 huge weekends ahead of them, and mentally as well as physically, that's all draining. And, you know, I just don't think you can go for so many years at at both codes like that without it causing problems.
And Derek, just before we leave them, I suppose there's two clubs really at the opposite end of the spectrum. Cracklow, you won't write them off by any means, and you said the football and their hurlers both have been amazing for the last 10 or 12 years. But Clooney Quinn looks like if they had a full squad, over the next 2 or 3 years, you feel that they will be good enough to really challenge for a Canon Hamilton.
Yeah. I said it 12 months ago when we were doing a preview of the hurling on your show, lads, that I felt there'd be a county title in Clooney Quinn in the next 3 years. I stick by that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think that, you know, they have
the young lads are very talented
coming through, and you know, if they but look, you know as well as I do, you need luck to win a championship. You know, you need things to fall in your favour. You need a bit of rub of the green. Ryan Taylor's injury, obviously. You know, then poor old Callum Hassett, Peter Duggan's red card. You know, of all them things, you know, weren't there. You know, Clooney Quinn would take some stopping. But that's the nature of the beast. You have to ride the luck, you know, and you need it. And I can't call the game Saturday in the Bridge. I think, you know, Cracklow might sneak over the line. And if they do, they'll exit in the quarter-final. I can't see him beating someone in the park. I just can't see him after, you know, going out against Ennis Diamond to stay in the football championship. Whereas Clooney Quinn, if they get through, they'll have a couple of weeks. You know, Peter Duggan would be back, and, you know, they like the park. So it's a very 50-50. Of all the games this weekend, it's the one I can call, like, really cannot, you know, put a definitive either way on it.
And of course, also in that group, Derek, you've Newmarket and Wooltones, and I suppose Newmarket have probably been one of the teams of the championship so far, going quietly about their business. You know, they've already, you know, a couple of games won, and this game will put them, you know, they're playing Wooltones. Obviously, there's a bit of a rivalry between Wooltones and Newmarket, but you'd probably go on based on form, you'd expect Newmarket to get over this one, Derek.
Yeah, Leo. Look, 'tis a dead rubber. 'Tis the only dead rubber of the weekend, in fairness. Like, Wooltones are in the relegation no matter what, and the Newmarket are in the quarter-final no matter what. So that's done, dusted, decided. It'll be interesting to see what Newmarket do, what sort of team they put out. You know, I'd imagine they'll rest a couple of their older, more experienced heads, and they might, you know, inject a bit more youth and give them a bit of game time. I'd imagine that's what they'll do, and try and mind the bodies for a quarter-final. And, you know, they're a big, physical, powerful team. They're fit, they're strong. They have a game plan. They know what they're doing. They've good men on the line. You know, Newmarket, it'll be dark horses. You know, they were only a puck of a ball away from the county final 2 years ago. You know, they probably should have beaten Ballier in that county semi-final. Let's be honest about it. You know, so yeah. Look, Newmarket have done a very good job, but I don't know. Do they have the firepower to win a county title? I don't know. You know, but again, it is the most wide open championship in recent memory. It really, really is. So it's there for whoever can hit form. You know, get to the knockout stages is obviously step one, and then you know build up a bit of momentum if you can get through a quarter final. Once you're in a county semi final, as well, you know, over the years, Leo, there's 4 teams left, and any one of the 4 could be lifting Canon Hamilton. Then, you know,
there's no doubt, and that brings us you bring us aptly onto the team that currently holds the Canon Hamilton with Ballier. And they're taking on the local lads here, Scariff, who have caused quite a stir in senior championship this year. You know, were involved in relegation battle last year, but 2 back-to-back victories over St. Joseph's and Ian Kilnamona. And deep down out here in East Clare, there's smart little shoots growing, and the vibe is good.
Why wouldn't it be? I did say at the start of the year that I felt Scariff would take care of Dore Bearfield. I felt their senior status wouldn't be in doubt. And I felt that they would take a scalp of either Kilmaley, Ballier or Kilnamona. I felt there was a tough group they were drawn in, but I felt that they would take a scalp. I just feel that, you know, they have great firepower, and, you know, forwards can win your matches. Now, defences win your championships, but forwards can win your matches. And I just felt that there was a scalp in them. I'm a big, obviously everyone is a big, but I'm a big admirer of Mark Rogers, not just for his hurling, but for his character. And, you know, I'll never forget that relegation final last year, and the man was sweeping the dressing room afterwards. Like, you know, like, that's what he was doing after scoring 4-12. Now, I'll tell you this, lads, if I scored 4-12, I'd still be talking about it on a stool, having a pint somewhere, but like that shows
and
the character.
And you clean up afterwards, did?
Yeah. But look, Scariff have been a breath of fresh air. But it's not just Mark Rogers. They firepower Patrick Ryan, Patrick Crotty. Liam Crotty. Diarmuid Nash is solid at 6. Michael Scanlon is solid at 3. And they play nice hurling. They can go direct at times.
One of the players they have of the tournament so far, the championship so far, for me would be young Hartigan, Keelan Hartigal, Derek. I think this fella has an engine and he's a confidence and he covers ground from his own half back line to the half forward line. I think he's been outstanding also and is a real prospect. He's more than a prospect at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, and he was with the Clare under 20 setup as well, wasn't he?
He was.
There's quality there. Like I don't know now. I know, Ballier. Like we have to remember that the character. It's character that they have it in abundance. They're still not shooting out the lights. They're not what they were, 12 months ago. But they're still, this is a winner take all show. And this is a winner take all showdown. Now, Tony Kelly is in a boot. No one knows the extent of the ankle injury. Some say it's fractured, some say it's not. But they did win a county championship without the man. So, you can never take Ballier for granted. But if Ballier don't win, they're out of the championship. I know they'll be reliant on other results and stuff, but basically that's the end of their pursuit of the 3 in a row. Scariff win, they're in a quarter final, and they'll have beaten Kilnamona and beaten Ballier. And at the start of this year, I'm a big fan of going into Paddy Power and checking things out. Ballier were 2-1 favourites, and Kilnamona were 3-1 second favourites for the county championship. So if Scariff managed to pull off and come out of this group, who knows where it could end from? Because I think, they will love Cusick Park. They have legs. Again, we'll go back to that. They have pace to burn. And they can play 2 different styles. They can move the ball through the lines like Donald Maloney has often coached his teams. But also, they can just put Mark Rogers at the edge of the square and say, here you go, launch it in.
Yeah.
You're not just a one-trick pony. And they go for the juggler. I like that. If there's a potential of a goal on, that's what they go for.
Yeah, and goals. I like teams that do that. Goals win matches.
Absolutely, and teams who do that tend to be the successful ones. They've been a breath of fresh air. I don't know how it'll go Sunday. I think it'll be a cracking game. The Tulla is a great venue. Ballier will bring a huge crowd. Scariff will bring a huge crowd. It will be packed out there. Yeah. The atmosphere will be electric. I'm just sorry that I'm on duty in the park, so I will miss it, but I'll be keeping abreast of it while I'm commentating on the Kilmany game.
Yeah, and that brings it. You didn't give it. You're unsure of the Scariff Ballier match. We let you go on that one. You said you're doing.
Leo, I do want to go back to East Clare for a cup of tea.
Good man.
And Ballier,
you have a way with words. You have a way with words. Yeah. I need Kilnamona and Kilmaley, Derek, as you said, was the one you're doing. And again, here, this is Aina Kilnamona. If they don't win this against their near neighbours, Kilmaley, they're Imaha Austin Championship.
Yeah, and look, the only way Aina Kilnamona stay in the championship is if Scariff sweep the boards. What Aina Kilnamona need is Scariff to beat Ballier, Scariff to beat Kilmaley, Scariff to win all 4. And that way Aina Kilnamona can win 2 and be on 4 points with Kilmaley, with Ballier, and then it'll go down to scoring difference. That's the only way at this stage to stay in the championship. And it's like solving a Rubik's Cube, the permutations. But no matter the outcome, Leo, Aina Kilnamona must beat Dora Bearfield. Otherwise, Aina Kilnamona are in the relegation series. And Dora Bearfield, despite 3 losses, has still a chance of senior survival if they beat Aina Kilnamona, because they'll have them on a head-to-head. So it's incredible that it'll come down to.
It makes for interesting observing anyway. There's no doubt about that.
Derek, sorry.
Even if they beat Kilmaley, they still have to beat Dora Bearfield, or they're going to be out in Tulla in the relegation series. And who would have foreseen that?
That's true.
Just on before we leave Aina Kilnamona, I suppose to me that they seem a little bit like the Clonera team of old there of years. That with the talent they have and yet falling down when maybe least expected to, or just not having not having that drive to go, ruthlessness to go out and win. Do you think? I know Aidan McCarthy has been a loss, but they have a lot of under 21s won in over the last number of years. They've got a lot of lads with county experience as well. What do you think is missing from Mind to Kilnamone not to drive on the way they should have? You think?
I suppose.
And there is a hangover from the county final 2 years ago as well. There's no doubt about that.
Oh,
trying to get rid of it,
definitely.
Yeah.
Look, they should have beaten Ballier in Shannon. They hit 17 wides.
God.
Do you know, now 17. Now I had it at 19 the same day, but I mean, Louis McQueen said it was 17 afterwards to me, and so I will go with his stats, man. 17 wides, and to me, 10 of them were criminal, like absolutely criminal wides. So I hate. I hate teams, and any team I'm involved in. If someone did it, like I'd be gone mad in the dressing room. The going for the glory point, the 1 out of 10 as I call it. Like you're going to get, So they'd 4 or 5 of them, and then they'd 10 very, very bad wides. They should have beaten Ballier below in Shannon, and Ballier would have been out of the county championship, and that would have given Aina Kilnamone a momentum and a bit of belief. They were poor against Scariff, although Scariff were good. Aina Kilnamone were poor. And they just seem, I don't know. I think football doesn't help them because they're being pulled by a lot of clubs. Now, this is going to be a bit controversial now, and I know, but sure, why did you ask me to come on? Only say it anyway.
There's one thing you say it as you say it. I'll give you that much.
Well, if I was an Aina Kilnamone man, this is what I'd do. I'd start the junior football team in Aina Kilnamone. That's what I'd do. And I'd stop all the players going playing football for anybody else. And therefore then I'd control the hurling by having a junior football team. That's what I'd do. And I'd see then where we'd go with the senior hurling team. To me, that could be the answer to their
in fairness, Pat, that's a very valid point, isn't it?
It was heard here first on Scariff Bay Community Radio. Mark that down now, because and secondly, we take no responsibility at all for the views of our guests or for our legal people there.
In fairness,
Derek, in fairness,
I have to hold him. That is a brilliant point.
I think I heard that point made some other place one similar, and I haven't heard at all in relation to any team in Clare, but it's a good one, and I'll tell you, he would solve a few problems, no question about it.
It would solve a lot of a lot of their players. We know that the
Derek, you'll be manager of Aina Kilnamone next year,
the junior football team.
But yeah, I think it's very hard. It's very hard to compete at both codes for your own club. But when you're doing it for two separate clubs, I just don't know. I don't buy into it myself. But look, that's up to individuals. If I was an Aina Kilnamone club man on the executive, I'd said, you know what, lads, we'll enter the Junior A Football Championship and be done with it.
Fair enough. Come here, we have another group to go, Derek, in the senior hurling. And what a game.
You really don't have to put me there. You don't have to ask me about my own, because it's
well, I was going to start with that one. Clarecastle and your second favourite team, Rogue. Where do you see
everyone's second favourite team?
Derek, to all intents and purposes, Clarecastle are already in the relegation. Obviously, Rogue have to win to make sure that they're getting through in the championship. I suppose, to be honest about it, there can only be one winner here.
Yeah. Look, I still think Rogue could win a county title. Like, I really do. They haven't performed well, but what they're lacking is hurling. And again, they played their opening round in the market, their next round out in Tulla. They're now back in the park, and that's where
they have their tour of duty done.
Yeah, that's where they'll play their best, is in the park. They'll probably easily account for Clarecastle and be in a quarter final, and they'll be dangerous then. They'll be dangerous for everybody then, because I know that they went and played a Galway club a week and a half, 10 days before the championship in the challenge, and they took an awful clipping. I think it was 29 points they were beaten by. An awful clipping, because they've no hurling done.
No.
Yeah.
And that's when you have so many inter-county players that no hurling done together at both codes, football and hurling and so on. So it's a hard ask for them. Fecal were always going to be a tough proposition, especially in the market. Broadford were always going to bring everything that they could, especially out in Tulla. So they've got through it. They have Clarecastle in the park. Now, there's nothing like the size of a townie jersey for a Magpie to raise his game. Like, let's be honest about it. But as much as they could raise their game,
you never found one to raise your game when you went to town. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, we just don't have the necessary tools at our disposal. Yeah, I think. Look, it's another relegation. There's the loss of Bobby Duggan has been really shown up, massive. And if you go back to that, I mean, it was the game of the championship last year. We were all at it, Clarecastle and Whitegate. What a game!
Yeah, most enjoyable.
It was. So it gave everything, but we have to be honest about it. And I'm a die-hard Magpie, but for Keane Broderick in goal and Bobby Duggan, we would have been beaten. Now Bobby was outstanding the same day,
14 points.
Puck outs. Yeah, catching puck outs and delivering scores and reliable from frees. And if you go back to the opening round against Broadford, Clarecastle missed 7 simple frees in the first half.
Yeah, but he wasn't playing.
That Bobby would have nailed. And who's to say then?
Momentum, then you say, yeah.
You know how it would have turned out. So look, what I'd be looking for out of Clarecastle, they got a bit of a performance against Fecal. It was much better. I'd be looking for something similar against Éireog to try and not take a trimming, try and get your setup right and get ready for the relegation series. It's a one-off game. Who knows who they'll get? Who knows, But that's what I'd be doing for Clarecastle. I'd be like, right, don't take a trimming, stay in the game as long as possible, against Éireog. And look, if Clarecastle stay in the game for as long as they can, like last year they pushed Ballyea to 4 points in the park, so.
Yeah, I think they could give Éireog a fright. I really do. I don't know why. Gut feeling right, for some reason.
Because,
I think they will.
Bit of pride in the jersey and the fact that they're our nearest neighbours up the road, but. Look, Éireog are odds-on favourites, and
for a reason, I suppose. Yeah.
I still, every bone in my body, apart from my heart, says Éireog will win, but my heart will always overrule my head. So come on, the Magpies.
I know you wouldn't let the side down, Derek. What a mouth-watering East Clare cash we have in 6 Mile Bridge later on this evening. Fecal and Broadford. I tell you that it really brings back memories of great games and tough games. This is not going to be one for the purist.
No, and I'm going to be at that one now. I'm going to be at that one. I'm on duty there. I'm
bring your helmet.
The Clarecastle Éireog one, and I'm looking forward to it because I think skin, hair, bone, the whole lot will fly in this. So that's my cup of tea, please. I love that. I think Broadford will give it everything that they could possibly can, because if they win, it'll be scoring difference that will decide who goes forward to a quarter final between themselves, Fecal and Éireog. 2 from 3. Fecal will be looking at it, win, seeded for a quarter final. It'll be a cracking game. I'd have to edge it to Fecal because they're just a bit further down the road. They in their development, they're big, they're physical, they're powerful, and in Shane McGrath they have, similar to what Clarecastle are missing in Bobby Duggan, they have someone that's going to get you 10 to 12 points every time he goes out on the field. And when you have a player that guarantees you 10 or 12 points, be it 5 or 6 from frees, 5 or 6 from play, or a couple of sideline cuts, but he'll always hit that magical total of 10 to 12 points, well then all you need is your other 5 forwards to contribute a point each, and suddenly you're on 17, 18 points. And once you hit that mark, you're in every game in the county right to the final minute. So that's why I would be tipping Fecal. But just that's the reason alone is Shane McGrath's firepower.
And Derek, before we let you go on the senior championship, it looks like you're kind of maybe nailing your colours to the mast with Éireog to win the championship, going on current form, or what do you think?
Well, on current form, Kilmaley are the team to beat.
Right.
On current form, because Colbert has done a fine job with them, and they have been very good in both games. I think that he's cute. In fairness to Colbert, he's switched him up a bit. He's brought a bit of the 6 Mile Bridge directness to him, brought a bit of steel to him. Kilmaley and Clonlara are the two teams that have impressed me the most. But I just feel that when you win a county championship, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's all about a bit of luck and timing your run and momentum right. And, like Éireog, could get into a quarter final here without actually, without playing without hurling, to be honest. They'll be dangerous in the park. Yeah, it's hard to call. The quarterfinal draw will tell a lot. And I'll give you the winner when I know the lineup of who's playing who in the quarterfinal.
Lovely.
But if you really said to me,
go on.
No,
so we could lump on now.
Really said no, I'd say Kilmaley.
Okay,
interesting.
If I had to put my gun to, if I had to nail my colours to a mast, I'd say Kilmaley. But look, it'll be very, very interesting, the quarter-final draw, who gets paired against who. And there's another factor that decides these matches too, Leo and Pat. It's weather.
Yeah.
I mean, on a bad evening there, like, and no disrespect, but Newmarket and Fecal, for example, you wouldn't want to play either of them two on a bad evening in the park because they're physical, they're powerful, But on a glorious sunny evening, you wouldn't want to be playing Kilmaley or Scariff in the park. Do like legs and pace, and there's a lot of factors that will come into deciding the county championship. It's the most wide open one in recent years because
you said that at the beginning, and for sure, Derek, the clock is moving on, but we have a quick word to go through on the intermediate championship, and we have a couple of local derbies here this weekend. We have Bodyke Killanena, we have Tulla Smith O'Brien's, and a must-win game for Tulla probably. We have Wycott and Corofin taking on in probably they're already through to the quarter final. See who's the top of the table in that. We'll get a quick word on Bodyke and Killanena, Derek, as we've 6 minutes left to go through the intermediate championship.
Okay.
We'll give you can tip them. You can just give a tip to see who you think.
Well, I think Killanena will probably beat Bodyke, unfortunately for you, Leo. I know you won't like that, but
the shade is off limits, Derek.
Well, Pat has a neighbour there.
Are you aware that Keith Smith is out with a broken collarbone?
I'm not.
He broke a challenge against
a
challenge against Gunlow last weekend. Broke his collarbone, so he's a massive loss.
I do think the intermediate championship, similar to the camogie, where Scariff and Aina Kilmona will face each other, and I think that'll be the county final. Yeah. I think Corofin and Wycott will also be the county final.
We kind of concur with that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think Joe Cahill gets over the line in Corofin. And I have the greatest time for Terence Fahey and all the Wycott lads, but I just think that those Corofin lads have grown up with Cahill. They won under 21s, and we know they lost the final last year to Scariff or Gunlow. I just think they play for him. Do you know that extra 5%? Matty Shannon is back doing the coaching with him. They were very, very impressive in the league final in Clarecastle against Bodyke. Now, I know Bodyke were poor the same night, but Corofin could still only do what they did. I think it's Corofin's county championship if you nail me to a mast, but I think Corofin and Wycott could be the final. And that's.
And Derek, before we close that, you have Killaloo. You're going for Killanena to defeat Bodyke in this one. Tulla and Smith O'Brien's. Tulla in the intermediate final last year. They're fighting for survival against Smith O'Brien's, who have 2 from 2, Tubber away as well. Do you expect Tulla to be still in the championship later on?
Yes. Yeah, I think that the knockout nature of it from now on will suit Tulla, will drive him on and get him over the line. I think Smith O'Brien's have done really well, and down from senior, I know that, but they've turnover of players, and so they've done really well. But I think Tulla will now have to have the bit between their teeth, and when they do that, I mean, let's be honest about it. Like, they were blatantly robbed of the county title last year. Like, I mean, David McInerney's pint was a pint. Like, it was 100% a pint.
Yes, I concur with you.
And that would have put him 2 up in injury time rather than the 1 up. And we know what happened in the extra time period. Yeah. But Tulla should have been up playing senior. That was a pint. As much as Gavin Cooney's 24 hours later was a wide, that was a pint.
Funny, small margins, Derek, small margins.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, I think Tulla, with the bit between their teeth, will want to get back to the knockout stages, and I think they will, and I think they'll be a force to be reckoned with. But Tulla for me to win that one.
But you're going with Wycott and Corofin, and we'll hold that one out here in East Clare, and you have just given ammunition to the black and red down in Wycott. They will be loving to hear that. Derek?
Yeah, I do, but I'm a big fan of Terence Fahey. I think he's a gentleman, but I'm also a big fan of Joe Cahill. So if either one of them do win the championship, I'll be happy for both.
Two great Gaels.
They're two great hurling men, and I just think it's Corrifin's destiny. I think it's their destiny this year to win the intermediate. But look, I've known to be wrong. So
nah.
I don't know, Pat,
you've never known to be admitting it though.
Pat has wrote down all the predictions. Pat has wrote down all the predictions here. We wait with interest. Derek Dormer, as always, it's very good to talk to you here on Scariff Bay Community Radio. You're very good to give us of your time, and we look forward to hearing much more from you as the championship progresses to the knockout stages. Derek.
Lads, it has been a pleasure as always. I love going on the Scariff Bay radio station. In fairness, I think you do a great job. Great for the community out there, and you're always commentating on the matches and providing people with something, I still remember the day someone told me we were being listened to on the Pyramid, so it'll always stay with me.
And also, we love having you because you even form new teams when you're out with us here. I think them all are doing a football team with yourself as manager.
We heard it first.
Thanks, Derek.
You won't let that one go now.
No, not for a long time.
Derek, as always, good to meet you.
False your oath, lads.
Thanks, Derek. Slán.
And that concludes our Sportsline show here today on Scariff Bay Community Radio in association with their Credit Union on 88.3 FM and 92.7 FM. My thanks, as always, to co-presenter Pat McNamara. Thanks also to the men in control tower, Jim Collins, for keeping the show on the road. And finally, from all here on Scariff Bay Community Radio, congratulations again to Aisling O'Connor of Fecal, who took part in the Rosa to Lee during the week down there in that famous festival. And we wish all players of all the teams the very best of luck in the hurling and camogie championships this weekend. And all that remains is me for Leo Dial. Until we meet again, it's Bannock Day, August Lawn.